and ahead of the pack.
This is Richmond's Morning News with Rich Herrera on News Radio WRVA.
That is one of my favorite clips from a movie of all time. Apollo Creed coming down, and James Brown and Rocky just kind of looking like whatever. And then Drago just standing there stone-faced from, was that Rocky 18, I think? Something like that. Hey, good morning, everybody. 8:34 this morning here on Richmond's Morning News. And again, my apologies. Rachel Campos-Duffy was to join us in this section of the program, but she woke up feeling under the weather, so we're rescheduling her for next week. We'll let you know. But we have been telling everybody all morning, exciting tomorrow on the program. If you're like me, you're a Gen Xer, and you remember the mega 1980s and 90s band, The Police, they were the biggest thing out there. They were the biggest thing out there. They were the soundtrack of Gen X. Stuart Copeland was the founding member of The Police. He, along with Sting, and then later Andy Sumners joined the band, and they had 6 amazing albums. And at the height of their popularity, it all came crashing down as Sting left the band and The Police went on hibernation and eventually broke up. They went back and they did one more tour later to just kind of give everybody one final shot. But he is a remarkable Hall of Fame drummer, musician, and has led an interesting life, and his family history is even more interesting than that. Tomorrow, you'll hear that interview here on Richmond's Morning News. All right, I do want to bring something up. I ask you this question. What are your kids doing this summer? Cup of Joe, he's got his kids. They're getting ready for the summer. They'll probably go visit some family. They'll go on a family trip. They'll do a little vacation. Maybe they'll go to grandma's. Maybe they'll go swimming. Maybe they'll take swimming lessons. Maybe they'll go to a summer camp, something like that this summer. You remember when we were kids. Oh, summer's going to be here. What are we going to do? And then we were bored after about 2 weeks. And but back then we couldn't call for DoorDash. Mom, there's nothing to eat. Yes, there's plenty. Make yourself a sandwich. I don't want a sandwich. Can I DoorDash Taco Bell? No, you're not DoorDashing Taco Bell, but I already ordered and I used your credit card. Be ready for those calls. Little Super Dave, 8-year-old Super Dave. Why is there a DoorDash charge for $35? What did you get? Well, I got chips and an empanada, and it was $20 for the delivery for DoorDash. You'll have those conversations this summer, I guarantee you. But how many of you are going to talk to your kids and they're going to tell you, well, my plans this summer are, I'm going to go out and get in trouble. I'm going to go out and hit the streets. I'm going to go to the mall and knock everything over and get in fights and wild. I am going to participate in a teen takeover. Or how proud would you be if your kid said, here's my plan for the summer. Me and my friends are going to go on Discord and we're going to organize a teen takeover of a movie theater and destroy the whole darn thing. Oh, man, what would you say? Son, sounds like a great idea. Okay. In reality, this summer, I guarantee you, we are going to have some trouble here in Richmond and throughout the country with these teen takeovers. We've seen them here. I call it wilding because that's really what it is. They just go wild. You get a group of people together and the adrenaline and the testosterone and everything else gets these kids, and they're not thinking. They're just acting as one big group, and mayhem and chaos and havoc ensues. We saw it here at the Short Put Mall. We've seen street takeovers and the slideshows that we've had. We've had them here in our community. I was telling the story. I was up in D.C. 2 Saturdays ago. I didn't realize I was at that Chipotle that was on TV about 45 minutes, an hour before that thing popped off. I very easily could have been standing there with my wife at the soda fountain while this broke out. And I saw a video yesterday of a father who was there with the 7 kids. They went to the game, same game I went to. They must have been right behind us. He went in, they were going to get something to eat before they drove home, and all of a sudden, boom, it pops off. And he's standing there giving instructions and commands to his kids on how to form a human shield against this crowd. His sons took flanking positions next to him. I'm using military terms because that's what he was doing to defend his family in the middle of all this. It could happen to you. It could happen to me. I barely was there at the right time, right place, because if I would have dilly-dallied around or waited for an autograph or walked around the stadium, who knows? I could have been right there next to him. But Janine Pirro, who's the Judge Janine, who's the top boss legally in D.C., said she's going to start going after the parents and hold them accountable for what their kids are doing. I have a question. That I just don't know. I think I know the answer to, but I would like to ask a question. Why is it that we have to have these summer programs for these kids? And I mean all kids. All these kids that we have summer programs for. Give them something to do. Did I have to have a summer program to make sure that I knew that I shouldn't go wilding? Did I have a summer program to give me something to do where they just stay home and watch TV, read a book, do something that wasn't mayhem? I don't really remember my parents ever really doing anything for me this summer other than stay home, shut up, and don't call and bother mom at work. Now I've got to put on a program here. I got to put on a program there, as if the rule of thumb is, well, children are going to cause mayhem unless we give them something to do. Shouldn't the rule of law be, and the rule of thumb, maybe the rule of thumb is a better way to put it, this is unacceptable behavior and should never happen. Now it almost seems like, well, let me give them a distraction so nothing goes on, nothing happens. So I don't see these teen takeovers, as if this is normalized. It's like, well, it just happens. We better stop and have some programs to keep kids from doing these awful, horrible things like fighting and having mayhem ensue. Have you heard? Here's the thing that bothers me the most about this. Have you heard any leaders, politicians, or anyone else coming out and saying, hey, kids, this is not going to be tolerated. You do this, we're going to throw the book at you. This will not be tolerated. Instead, well, you have to realize there's all this going on. We need to have programs to make sure the kids can find a way to express themselves. What? As if expressing yourself through wilding and havoc and violence is acceptable in the year 2026. But unfortunately, some places it is. And you see excuse after excuse after excuse of, instead of saying, hey, knock it off, this will not be tolerated. So when it happens, and it's going to happen sooner rather than later, and it's going to land closer to where you live than you think right now. And there's my example. You're just simply going to get a soda at a fast food restaurant after a game and could have been stuck in the middle of that. Could happen to you. So my big question is, who's responsible? Who needs to be held accountable that this nonsense stops? Is it the parents? Do you put the parents under the spotlight and say, hey, listen, your kid does this, you're going to be held responsible. You're going to be punished for this. Is it the kids? Because everybody's like, oh, God, we can't do this with the kids. We need restorative justice. We don't want to put them in the system. We'll ruin their life. Okay, so there's absolutely no consequence for doing what you're doing because they're not going to throw the book at you, and you know that, it's not going to be that severe. It'll be a slap in the wrist. Why not just do it again? Is it the city leaders for allowing things like this to happen? It's kids from all walks of life that get in this nonsense. Why is it now that we make excuses for all of them instead of just saying, no, this is not acceptable in the year 2026 in this country, in any city, state, town, hamlet, municipality, or county, this will not be tolerated. I've got another idea for you. Where do you think these kids get this idea that it's okay to do this? When we started the program, I haven't used this term in a while, but do you remember one of the terms I started with? You promote what you permit. Remember when I said that? And everybody's like, oh, shut up, stop it. I'm tired of promote what you permit nonsense. Okay? But you know that phrase, and I brought it up. So here's an example. Where do you think they figured all this out to cause chaos like this. They see it on TV. They see it when the protesters are going to fight with ICE. We're seeing it right now in New Jersey. Does the politicians in New Jersey and the leader up there, the politicians are up there fighting to try to get into a facility to look at ICE and they're causing mayhem up there. Does that look any different than the skirmishes you have between police and teen takeovers? See, we want to blame these teenagers for it, and you should hold them accountable. But what example are we setting? When we see what went on with people protesting, and now you see it with these ICE demonstrations in New Jersey, doesn't that give you the green light and go, well, if they did it, why can't I? See, that's where leadership is starting to fail this country in the worst possible way. You tell me whether you agree or not. If I'm a kid and I'm watching TV and I see what's going on with these protests in New Jersey with members of Congress, lawmakers standing there acting that way, those are adults. Why can't I do this out there and throw chairs at Chipotle? Those guys are doing it. Why shouldn't I? Again, you allow this to go on, you promote it. Because when you permit it, you tell them, hey, it's okay. Look at Bob Menendez Jr. He's up there arguing with people, and people are getting shoved around. And we're challenging the police, and we're just causing chaos and mayhem. They're members of Congress. If they could do it, that's cool, right? Why shouldn't I be able to do it? You see where I'm going with this? You promote what you permit. And we've permitted this. So as we stand around and start pointing fingers to these kids, I wonder how many fingers need to be pointed to hold the adults in the room accountable for all of this. Something to give you to think about. Number for you to join us on the James River Air text line, 833-804-1140, 833-804-1140. All right, we'll continue with you here on News Radio WRVA. Best text messages will get read in 10 minutes from now here on News Radio WRVA. Again, 833-804-1140 on the James River Air text line. A-plus windows. Okay. We've talked about this. You know, when you bought the house, oh, I love this. This is a perfect little house. This is going to be awesome. All we got to do is change the windows. And that was 8 years ago. Because you don't know what to do. What goes into a window? What double-sided? I don't get any of this, and you just keep putting it off. Because you don't have enough information to make the decision on how to replace those windows. So my friend Billy Kane comes in from A-plus Windows. The destination for education. Make an appointment. Have Billy Kane come by, give you an estimate, take a look at your house, and then learn about windows. He's not going to sell you a window. He's not going to stand there and twist your arm. He's probably going to be in and out of your house in 10 minutes. And what he'll do is he'll tell you, here's what your house needs, and here's your options. So you learn about windows. So when you make that purchase, you make one and you're completely comfortable, and you're able to raise the value of your home and lower your energy costs. Here's their number, 804-303-4136, 804-303-4136, or find them online at apluswindows.com.